Hi everyone. So today we'll talk about writing essays and writing a thesis. I get asked this question a lot, and therefore I thought I'd finally make a video of it. And then that way in the future I can just say, here, watch the little video. I will still explain it to everyone who comes up and asks me personally. However, I thought there might be more people who are interested in it. So, when we start writing an essay, a paper, or a thesis, there's one thing we'll have to write at least twice, and that is the executive summary or abstract. Now, for that abstract, I like to go with a 4 to 5 sentence structure, no more than that. So the original 4-sentence structure is, what is the context that you're writing about? Like, what is the general area, the general domain? Are you writing about self-driving cars? Are you writing about the application of artificial intelligence in healthcare? Are you writing about the social impacts of giving handheld devices to kids under 5 years old? What is the general context of your work? The second sentence is the motivation or problem. What is the specific thing that you are tackling in this piece of writing? There is a need for a method to better guide parents in when to give devices to their under 5-year-olds. There is a lack of knowledge about the empirical data on the impact that self-driving cars have on cyclists. There is a need for a better understanding of the routes that bees take to collect pollen in the light of current traffic improvements around this city, whatever the problem is that you're tackling. And then the next sentence is your contribution. Like, how are you solving this? How are you contributing to the body of knowledge that exists in this area? You are presenting the results of an empirical study on the traffic congestion due to bee swarms. Wait, was it the other way around? Never mind. You are providing a set of validated guidelines for parents to put into place with their under 5-year-olds and their digital devices. Whatever it is, again, your contribution, the main result in one sentence. What was the method that you used? Like, how did you come up with this? How did you validate this? Why is that a valid piece of research? Why does it matter? And then, last but not least, the impact. What do we know now that we didn't know before? What action can we take based on what you're proposing? How can somebody else build on your work? What can practitioners take away from that? What will be further research work that this is a really important foundation for? So what is the impact of the work that you just presented here or that you're about to present? Those 5 sentences, no more. No more is ever needed in an abstract, and every reviewer will always be grateful if you can do this in 5 sentences and use few words. Be really clear about your message. And I said at the beginning, you're going to have to write this twice, because the first one is to get you started and to really write the essay and the thesis. At the end, there will be a significant revision because we hardly ever get that right on the first try. And we don't have to. We can always revise. But it's important to get that first draft out there because that's going to help you structure the rest of your outline. What I'm going to give to you today is the generic outline that you can follow for this. So after the abstract, the next thing is your introduction. The introduction details what you mentioned up here. It provides a current context, the current context and background. What is the research gap? Why does this research gap matter? What are practical implications? and then what exactly are you going to present in the rest of your paper. Second part is background. This might be foundational work that you're building upon, as well as related work. So other people who have done work in that same area or on that same topic, and then after briefly summarizing what they did, you're going to explain what are you doing on top of what they have done before? How are you bringing us a step further compared to what they have previously provided? Third part is then your research design. This describes exactly the methods that you used and the process that you followed. Like, what were the original methods that you used to collect data? What were the steps that you took to validate that data? Did somebody else review your results to make sure to do cross-validation that you haven't overlooked anything? So process and quality assurance. But you're not writing yet about what actually happened. That comes in the next part. So this is what you prepare before you started your project. And then in the next part, in the results, you describe what actually happened. So you describe your implementation and direct observations. And the data that you collected. That type of data can vary. That can be snippets from an interview that you recorded with the permission of the interviewee. That can be some data points you got from a survey. That can be data that you collected in your literature review and present in tables. Whatever your data is, here's your chance to summarize and give us a concise overview of that. Maybe add overview here to make sure that it's not going to be all your raw data, but an aggregated overview of your data. And then comes the discussion part. Here you reflect upon what you found. You reflect upon the observations, upon your data and the aggregation of the data. You reflect upon insights you had, about lessons learned that you gathered. Maybe some of the methods that you used didn't work quite as you thought they would, so you can discuss that. You can discuss the limitations to validity that your study has. And this is important. There is construct validity, which asks us whether what we described here was even appropriate for doing the thing we said we were going to do. Internal validity, external validity, and then generalizability. So you want to go through those individually and describe whether they are in some way limited, and if so, to what extent, and what measures you took to mitigate that. And then last but not least, conclusion. That will usually provide a summary of what you just presented and an outlook on future work. So this is the generic outline that I follow for writing essays, for writing papers, and that I have followed for writing theses. If you find one that suits your individual project better, by all means, go ahead, use that. But I wanted to give you a first general guideline if you just weren't sure where to start. Now you have a very concrete bullet point list that you can follow along and fill with your first draft. Thank you.